everybody, welcome back to 5-Digit Films, the channel for all things amputee. So today I'm going to tackle something, a common question, if you will, and it just cracks me up. So all the time I'm getting questions about my prosthetic devices. And this is something I wear on my arm every day. It's no big deal to me, but I realize that to the average person, it's something different, something foreign. So today I am going to share with you what I call my daily driver, if you will. So I have 3 different sockets with, 8 different attachments between the 3 sockets, and I'll explain what a socket is and all that here in a minute. But the one that I seem to be using the most is the one I'm sharing with you today. So, as you kind of got a glimpse in the last video, this is my daily driver. It is what's called a dual site myoelectric prosthetic. But what does that mean? Well, if I take it off here, here's something you didn't get to see in the last video. My stump itself healed up pretty nice. As you can see, I've got about 4 inches from my elbow. If you look right here, that's where one of my sensors rides. And if you look, right here where my thumb is, that's where the other sensor rides. Hence the name a dual site, meaning 2 sites for the sensors. The myoelectric part. How this prosthetic works is if you look inside of here, you see those pads in the top and the bottom. Those are my sensors. So how that works is when you want to move a muscle, doesn't matter whatever muscle it is, when you go to move a muscle, your brain sends the impulse through the nerves, your nerves fire into your muscle, and that electrical signal makes your muscle contract. Kind of like if you've ever seen a video of somebody getting tased, how they and then fall over, that's what happens. That electrical signal makes your muscle contract. So I still have my muscles in my forearms just like I do my right arm. See, I'm moving that with the muscles in my forearm. So the muscles and the nerves are still there, and that's how I control this prosthetic. So my brain sends a signal to move one of those muscles, and then depending on which muscle it is that I'm moving, it makes the hook here respond. So if I bring my wrist in like this, it actually makes my hook close. If I bring my wrist outward like this, it makes the hook open. And depending on how hard I'm flexing, it controls that speed. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this prosthetic. So here we go. This is what is called a socket. This is the receptacle of where my devices plug into. And then obviously this end, the business end, is where my arm goes in. And then this hole right here is where I thread the appliance through that helps me put my prosthetic on. So I have this pull sock here. It's made out of parachute material. It's supposed to have, low friction, good slip. And what I do is I put it over my arm like this. And then I put this little tail down through this hole right here. And I put my arm into the prosthetic. And then I pull that tail through to pull this sock through the device. And what that does is it helps to pull my skin forward into my prosthetic. What this style of prosthetic relies on is the elbow brace here to ride against the back of my elbow. You can kind of see that line right there where that rides. But it also relies on skin tension. So my skin has to be pulled forward into that prosthetic at all times. If not, it's not going to quite work the same. So I actually have two different attachments for this particular prosthetic. As you can see, I have the receptacle there. Any attachment I have that will go into that receptacle will work with this prosthetic as long as it works with the software as well. So the first one that makes this my daily driver rig is this ETD hook. Now this one is pretty cool. It has 26 pounds of gripping force across this small little surface area here. And this one, like I said, it's my daily driver. So as you can see, there's a little wear and tear on the black rubber pads there. But that one is the easiest one for me to operate. It's the one I've operated the most. And because of its grip strength, it's kind of my Swiss Army knife. I can use it to do just about anything. I can grab onto larger objects and be able to hold them in my grip. And then because of the kind of pointy ends of the hook, it allows me to get in there and pick up, smaller parts, something more intricate, something that would be difficult with any other attachment on this device. My second attachment is this. It is a 5-finger hand attachment. This is made by a company called Tasca, and this device is very durable, very strong. It works really well. Now, being attached to this dual site prosthetic, it works the same way. A common question I get is, so do you have individual finger movement? And the answer is no. With this device, I don't have that. And here's why. Think about it a little bit. When you want to say, give somebody the thumbs up, yeah, in some ways you're moving individual fingers and moving your thumb up individually. But if you kind of broaden that picture out a little bit, you're in what's called a grip mode. So when you do a thumbs up, that is a grip mode. And your brain fires all of the muscle at the same time to make your hand go from this to this. That's kind of the same way that this prosthetic hand works. But since I only have control of close and open, of course, through my left hand, my right hand has no control over it. I have to be able to access those grip modes kind of on the fly, I guess. And there's various ways I can do it. When I'm not flexing, my prosthetic isn't moving. So what I can do is I can flex to open my grip and hold that, and the prosthetic will change. I think it's set right now. I'll go from a basic open and close, or actually it's a open and close with my thumb in front of my knuckles, as you see here, to, I think it goes to a 2-finger pinch right now. I'll put it on here in a second and I'll let you guys see how it works and I'll explain. But that's kind of the gist of prosthetics. As far as I know, and I'm not a guru on this topic, but the majority of myoelectric prosthetics that amputees are going to have aren't going to have your individual finger control, but you don't really need it. You just have to access the grip mode that you need to use for that particular time, like a 2-finger pinch or what they call a key grip. And that will get you through your basic tasks throughout the day. So I'm going to go ahead and put my prosthetic back on so you guys kind of have an idea of how this works. So I have to thread this pull sock down through here, and you see how it's come through the bottom. So now I have to pull this tail out with my arm basically in the prosthetic. So now I have my arm in. I just got to pull this. And there we go. My prosthetic is on. As you can see, there is not a lot of skin bunched up at the base of my prosthetic. That little hump there is just because of how the prosthetic is kind of wrapped around my arm. But you can see how my skin moves when I pull on it. That's because, as I said earlier, this prosthetic relies on skin tension. So now that the prosthetic is on my arm, I don't have an attachment on the end of it. So the next thing I have to do for the day, or for the particular task at hand, is to decide which attachment I need on which socket to do whatever it is I need to do. Again, in most cases, I use my daily driver because I can pretty well do whatever I need to do with this particular prosthetic. So I go ahead and I put that on. Now with this, as you can see, I can manually rotate it around to a certain point and then it snaps back out. With this prosthetic as well, I can also click this button right here and I can lock my wrist in at different degrees. Or I can even go back this way. So again, when I flex my forearm on my left hand like this, it closes. When I go like this, it opens. And then, as I said, depending on how hard I'm flexing, changes how fast it moves. So I can go pretty fast with it, or I can slow it down for a little bit more precision. So I have really good control with this particular attachment for this particular socket. So if I take this off and put my hand on, so when it comes on, it opens up and kind of calibrates itself a little bit. So then, same thing. When I flex my wrist inward, it closes, and outward, it opens. So I just kind of accidentally accessed my key grip mode, which only moves my thumb. And this actually works pretty well. I actually use this grip for tying my shoes, because pinching my shoestring in between my thumb and my index finger on the left side here actually is a pretty sturdy grip to help, tighten up my shoelaces. So how I was able to do that. So I started out in this grip mode. So when I go to close and then open again, if I long flex past where it's all the way open for, I think, like a second and a half, then it comes in to the key grip mode. And if I do what they call a co-contraction, which is basically making a fist, because you're contracting both sets of muscles at the same time, then it should put me into a 2-finger pinch mode. And I'll tell you, this particular mode works really well for holding your sauce cups for your chicken nuggets. You can just kind of put the sauce cup right in here. It works just perfect. You won't lose it, and then I can even shut my arm off so I don't even have to worry about accidentally letting go of it either. So just a little nugget of advice there. If you have something like this and your prosthetic hand is capable of doing a 2-finger pinch, might be worth knowing. Your sauce cups, your nacho cheese, for whatever, works pretty well when you're eating fast food. So this hand also, if you can see, has this button on the side. And that allows me to lock my hand in different positions. It also rotates around 360 degrees, but at some point it will pop off, just like my hook. So what that button allows me to do, you can see the hand isn't really moving. But if I release that button, I can bend the hand inward and outward. And I can even lock it in that position. And what this works really nice for, it's my beer drinking hand, because I'm able to lock that beer into my grip and bring it perfectly up to my mouth with my hand being bent inward like that. So another little bit of advice. It depends on your prosthetics. It depends on the attachments that you have for your prosthetics, but just a little piece of knowledge from a fellow amputee here. So that pretty much wraps up what I have for this prosthetic. Comes off pretty easy. I just pull my arm out of it, basically. You get pretty used to it. But one thing that a lot of people don't think about, and it seems so basic, but if you're not an amputee with prosthetics, you never really would think about it. So here is my on-off switch, and this little silver circle right here is my charge port for this device. So I am still out in Colorado. If you notice, I'm wearing the same clothes and everything. That's because I've done these videos in series just minutes apart. But when you're going on a trip, you have to kind of plan out, where am I going? What am I going to be doing? Will I have the availability of electrical power? Because this prosthetic has a runtime of about 3 days with using my hook. And the reason being, you only have one little motor in here running. Even though it has a good bit of grip strength, my hand, however, has, I believe, 5 different motors in it that it has to run. So it wears down that battery power a little bit faster. And the batteries inside here are just like cordless phone batteries. So they last a long time, but you have to be mindful where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing, and if you're going to have power. So in later videos, I'll show you some of the other prosthetics I have. One of them being a cable operated prosthetic, meaning it doesn't need battery power. It's not electrical, it's mechanical. And that is what a lot of amputees get. But I wanted to be able to show you this one first, since it's the prosthetic that I wear pretty much every day at this point in time. Now later, one of the other prosthetics that I'm going to show you that we are working on developing and fitting to me, that one will more than likely become my new daily driver. So that is my dual site myoelectric prosthetic with an ETD hook and a Tasca hand. Again, if you have any questions or comments, anything that I didn't cover in this video, just go ahead and drop it in the comments below. And I look forward to talking to you guys some more about some experience that I've had. And later, we are going to be doing some interviews with some of my care providers, as well as other amputees. I've had a pretty good experience as an amputee. Other people out there, it didn't go as well for them. They didn't have the experience that I did. Things just didn't go as smoothly. So I'm going to try to get their perspective, as well as the perspective from some of my various care providers. So look forward to all that. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.